Hello everybody and welcome to part 3 of the Civilization Beyond Earth 101 for beginners. This is going to be a little bit unusual in the fact that when I recorded this video I ended up making a mistake with the audio on it. So I am currently re-recording the narration part of it. This may cause the audio to be a little bit out of sync with the video, so I apologize in advance for that. But I think we can still work with it and get the general gist of what's going on in the game, and hopefully you'll pick up a few more tips. If you've lasted this far, I commend you. I think you'll be happy by sticking with it. Again, Civ does have a big learning curve, and it's just important to realize that over time it will get better and better as you learn more and more. So where are we? We decided on our sponsor, which was going to be Kozlov, and we landed our spaceship and built our first city, also known as our capital, the capital of Prabrust. And within that city, we decided on what we want to build first. We had a number of options between a few buildings and some units. We decided on the worker unit. And the reason we decided on the worker unit is simply because we want to improve some of the territory around our city. Specifically, we have some fiber just to the southeast, as well as some also to the west. So we'd like to use our worker to improve that fiber. And you can see when we rest the mouse on it, it tells us we can get +1 production if we do indeed improve that hex. So once we build the worker, we'll probably be sending him there. Let's go ahead and go for our next turn here. And the first thing we see is that there is a new station that's been discovered. Stations are good as far as trading is concerned. We talked before about how we could build the trade depot. And once we build the trade depot, we could then build trade convoys and trade vessels. And one of the things we could do is trade with these outposts to get different bonuses that they provide. Different bonuses such as culture, science, energy, and whatnot. Again, every little bonus helps in the growth of our city and our civilization as a whole. So when you see those outposts, take note of what they can provide and realize that we may be doing some trading with them sometime soon. We have our explorer unit, and again, he just got back from an expedition. During that expedition, he lost his expedition module, or I should say spent his expedition module, and now he has to come back to the city of Prabrust to replenish that. It's not uncommon to actually go from one derelict settlement to something else that you can explore, only to find out you forgot to replenish that expedition module. But just try to keep it in mind, and when you realize that you do need to replenish it, you need to make your way back to the city. So we can see here our worker has been finished, and you can see that the game is recommending on these 2 hexes here to build a farm. Farms are good in that they give us extra food, which will help the city grow. You can take those recommendations, but you don't necessarily have to if you'd rather do, work on something else around your city to improve other things. In fact, for us, we'll probably try to improve this fiber here first before we consider maybe improving those other titles. Not that building the farm there wouldn't have been a wrong choice, just a different choice. But again, I think for this particular tutorial, I think we'll focus on making the resources a little bit better. So we're going to move that worker over to the fiber. And what we're going to do is extract that 1 extra production. And we do that by building a plantation. So looking at our different actions over here, we'll find the one that says build a plantation. And we'll go ahead and start on that. Note that it is going to take a few turns before that gets completed. Realize that we also have some fiber to the west of us, but it's not within our hexed area at this point in time, so it's not worth it to work on that just yet. But as time goes on, you're going to see our hex area grow bigger and bigger. The hex area being that area that's bordered by the red there, filled in with the yellow area. So now it's time to figure out what we want to build next in our city. And we went over some of these before, but we'll briefly go over them again. And realize as you research new technologies, you're going to have more and more things to build within your city. So again, within a city, you have buildings and units. And it's here is where we're going to make our decision on what we're going to do next. So one of the first things we can look at is building another worker, which is the top choice. Why would we do that? Well, we could, if we had 2 workers working around our city, then obviously we'd get some of those bonus resources twice as quick. Another reason you might build it is if another city that you have, we don't have any yet, but if you had another city that needed a worker, you could indeed build the worker here and then send it to that other city if you wanted to. So there are some legitimate reasons to build more than one worker in a city. Next up we have another explorer, and again, explorers are good to help investigate the land around your city, as well as to garner some resource pods, and as well as to check out expedition sites like the derelict settlement that we did before. So that's a possibility. We might want to get a second explorer. Another option we have is for a soldier. Now at this point in time, we don't have anybody nearby us, and we have yet to see any kind of aliens around, so I would say at this point there's not really much need for the soldier. But if any of those was indeed present, another nearby civ or aggressive aliens, then a soldier would definitely be more of an option than maybe some of the others. Because you'll want to protect your city. You'll want to protect your worker that you just built from somebody coming in and grabbing him. Okay, looking at our buildings, we now have the clinic, which provides us some health as well as research. But right now we're not doing too bad as far as health is concerned. We're running at a surplus, denoted by the green number. If we were running at a deficit, it would be red. And realize too, for our research, we could improve that by building the clinic. And if we did improve the amount of research, then our techs would be built quicker. And finally, we have the Old Earth Relic, which will help us with culture production. Culture production, again, is good for virtues. Virtues provide even more extra bonuses for our civilization. So at this point, I'm going to choose an explorer, I think. Again, there's no right choice here, but my feeling is since we have those 2 resource pods, and I'd like to kind of investigate some of the land we haven't investigated yet, I'm just thinking to have an extra explorer would probably be a help. So out of these different choices, I think I'm going to choose that for now. But again, you do have legitimate reasons for the other ones also, depending on your play style and how you want to play the game. And let's go ahead and go to our next turn here. Well, before we do that, again, I just want to point out that the civilizations that have landed already are pretty far from us. This one's way out to the east, so he's not a threat at this point in time, as well as the African Union, which is way out to the southwest. Again, neither of these are a threat, making the soldier less of an option as far as our build is concerned. But let's go on to our next turn. And we can see there's another station. However, this station isn't close to us, so it would be tough to commence trading with this station. It would be a while before we can get to them. And it looks like we've got another civ that's landed, Lodi, Franco-Iberia. And the thing about Lodi landing here is look how close she landed to us. So all of a sudden we do have a potential threat nearby. That's something to keep in mind. Again, going back to our city build, the soldier might be a little bit more pertinent now that we've got somebody so close. I didn't think there was land that was going to be so close to us. Looking here, this appears to be a coastline here. And I thought that coastline would extend all the way across the northern part of our continent, and that there would probably be some water just above that. You can just tell by looking at the terrain that that is a coastline right there. However, looking at this now, I'm guessing that the coastline doesn't go all the way across that northern boundary. That indeed there might be some land connecting us to where Lodi just landed. So you've got coastline here, but then maybe all of a sudden the coastline kind of goes up here gradually, and obviously she may indeed be on the same landmass that we are. So that's something to consider, something to keep in mind. You know, if she ends up being an aggressive civ that wants to start a war with us, whatnot, that we'll need to defend ourselves with some defensive units in our city, with some defensive units to help protect our units that are out there. Let's go ahead and move our explorer back in towards our city. Again, we need him to replenish his expedition module so that he can go out to other expedition sites and see what's inside of those. Again, we want to try to avoid the miasma as we move him. Miasma is poisonous to him as well as our other units, and should they end their turn in the miasma, then that's going to hurt their health a little bit. And you just saw there are two resource pods that were to the south of us, and being that Lodi has landed so close to us, we do want to try to get to those a little bit sooner rather than later, simply because we don't want Lodi taking advantage and trying to get to those before we do. Only one civ can get into those resource pods and collect what's inside of them. So you can see here we have now indeed replenished our expedition module. If you look in the lower left corner, you'll now see that we're back up to 1, and he's ready to go ahead and do another expedition should we need to have him do that. But we will most likely send him down towards the resource pods. We do have another explorer we're currently building, so if we do come upon another expedition site, we'll have another one to choose from. Okay, so he's replenished. Let's start sending him down towards these resource pods. And let's go on to our next turn. Okay, we've really got 2 here to choose from. I'm going to head him over towards here, simply because this one might take a few extra turns to get to. Plus, it looks like there is coastline down here, so there might not be that much to explore. Whereas over here, there definitely seems to be some extra land that we don't know about yet. So, 2 good reasons to head over here is one, will be quicker, and secondly, we'll get to explore some more land over there. And again, we're just going to make our way over there, trying to avoid that miasma is going to hurt our health if we land in it. And that's all there is to this turn. Again, looking at our city, this icon over to the right, it tells us how much more turns we have before our second explorer will be built. And let's go on to the next turn. And looks like we've got somebody else then. Capital Mandira.
The temple doors of the
Kavitha
Protectorate
Thakur
are
of
open.
the Kavathan Protectorate. Nothing to do with her for now. Although I kind of want to see where she landed. Where did she land? Okay, that's a Lodi there. That's just an outpost. Oh, there she is. Okay, so she is way over to the east. Looking at the mini-map here, this lighter area represents our area. So she is way over to the east of us. So she should not be a threat at all. Okay, let's head towards that resource pod, and we revealed a little bit more of the land. I got some desert area here. And that's the end of our turn. And again, looking back at our capital, the number to the left here, this is telling me that in the next turn, we're going to grow from a population of factor of 3. We'll be growing up to the population factor of 4, which is good. The bigger your cities are, the quicker they're going to be able to make things, the more powerful they will become. And we get a little notification here saying, yep, Kabrast has grown. It's now got 4 citizens. So, great. Alright, let's see what this resource pod has for us. And it looks like a portable reactor and fuel source, giving us 60 energy. Alright, so we're now up to 161 energy. And it also looks like we have an update in our quest log. Quests are good things. They provide bonuses to us. They're basically some extra assignments that you can do. I recommend trying to do as many as you possibly can, because again, they do provide some pretty good bonuses that are going to help your civilization. In this case, we've got a new quest called Gifts from Home, and what our assignment here is to find 2 resource pods. And we already just did one, and we already have a second one that we've seen on the map, so we can easily go there and fulfill this quest. So, our worker is still working on his thing. And we talked about how we just got 60 energy from that resource pod, bringing us up to a total of 161. We're generating +8 each turn, which is good. And one of the things you might be wondering right now is, well, what can you do with that energy? We can purchase things in our city if we wanted to. And the way we would do that is to go into the city. And over here in the upper right, there's a purchase button. And you can see right now that everything is grayed out. This list probably looks familiar. It's the things we were allowed to work upon in our city. So instead of waiting X amount of turns for our city to produce one of these, we could easily just purchase one and get it done in one turn. Unfortunately, the reason they're grayed out is because we don't have enough energy as of yet. We have 161, and you can see the lowest thing that we can purchase here is 200 for an old Earth relic, as well as 200 also for an explorer. So since we don't have 200 energy just yet, there's nothing we can purchase at this time. But as we get more and more energy, that's the place you're going to go to look to expend that energy. Okay, let's go on to the... We still need to move our explorer. And I really have, I guess, 2 choices here. I can either send him over to the secondary resource pod, or I can have him just kind of continue to investigate the land over here. And I'm going to have him investigate the land over here simply because in 2 turns I'm going to have my second explorer, and that explorer I can simply send out to get the resource pod. I doubt if Lodi has already sent anybody that way, so I should still win the race to that resource pod if need be. So because of that, let's use this first explorer to explore these lands a little bit further. And that's as far as he can move this turn. You can see he did expose some Reslin for us. Okay, next turn.
The universe is either in progress or in entropy. We choose progress.
Okay, we've researched our first tech, the tech of pioneering. And we already looked at what it provides. It gives us the ability to build colonists. Colonists is what's needed to build your second and future cities. It will also give us the chance to build a trade depot. And once we do build a trade depot, we can then build trade vessels and trade convoys to send out to trade with other players and with outposts. It gives us more bonuses for our city. And we can see we got an update of our quest logs. And that was the Found an Outpost quest. Our assignment was to research pioneering, which we just did. Our next assignment for that quest is to build a colonist. Okay. Let's go ahead and research this a little bit more so. I want to avoid this miasma, so I'll get up this way. And lucky us, we discovered another resource pod out here. So yeah, we're going to head that way. We'll be able to get it next turn. And this tells us that our worker is completed improving the hex that has the fiber on it. So we now should get that 1+ production on that particular hex. We could always confirm that by looking at the yield icons. So this yield icon before that improvement was 2 of these green food, 1 of the yellow production, but now that we've improved it, we now get 2 yellow productions. And again, production is good to help build your units and buildings quicker within your city. So now where do we want to move that worker? Well, we've got a few choices. We could either go with the recommended farms in one of these 2 spaces, or we could come over to this fiber and work on that and get another extra production if we wanted to. So let's go ahead and work on these. We have to start it next turn. But we'll go ahead and build a farm in that particular hex. And we have our next decision to make, and that is what are we going to research next. So let's open up the tech web. We landed with the habitation tech, and we just finished the pioneering tech. So now we need to figure out what tech we want to work on next. And again, this is all a matter of personal choice. One thing to note is you do have some advisors that will help guide you on what choice you should make next. You have a military advisor, which is represented by this red chevron here, and your military advisor is basically recommending to go with engineering for your next tech. But you also have your science advisor, and he's saying, no, you should work on genetics. And finally, you have your economic advisor, and he says work on ecology. So which one of these should you follow, or should you not follow any of them? Well, again, you want to kind of look at your civilization as a whole. And some of this, again, is personal choice. If you're looking for the military aspect, the domination, you want to go attack other cities, you want to attack aliens, whatnot, then the military advisor is probably who you might want to listen to. Looking up in the upper right corner here, we have +6 science. So that's not bad for the beginning of the game. So I'm going to thank my science advisor for his recommendation, but I think we're okay with science at the moment. Same thing with our economic advisor. We're +7 per turn, and that's not bad, so I feel comfortable with that at the moment too. If that value was negative, then I would definitely wait the economic advisor's advice a little bit higher, I would say. So, which one do we want to do? Realize there's a few others that we can also work on that were recommended by our advisors. Chemistry, physics, or planetary survey are some examples. And again, I would just recommend maybe looking at the different things that these particular texts provide you, and whichever one looks appealing to you, you can definitely weight that higher in your decision. So, for me, I think at this point, this has some things you can build that will help you with aliens, specifically the ultrasonic fence, miasmic repulsor, but we haven't seen any aliens as of yet, so I'm not in a big rush to do that one. The Pharma Lab gives you extra health. The genetics as a whole will provide extra health, but we're doing okay on health. We're running +8 at the moment. Chemistry gives us extra science and production, which is pretty good. Physics gives us a ranged unit as well as science and extra orbital coverage. Engineering also gives us a military unit, the combat rover. At this point, I think I'm going to go with the chemistry simply because it has buildings that will either give us extra science and extra production. And since we're not hurting for any of the other kind of things right now, extra science and extra production is always good. Okay, so I'm going to pick chemistry for now to work on. But again, that's not necessarily the correct choice. It's all up to your personal preference. Let's head over to the next turn. Okay, we've met our first alien. Looks like we have a manticore here. So we need to be a little bit cautious around him for the moment. We're also going to need to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to fight with aliens or try to live in a world in harmony with the aliens. To be determined, I think, still. But for now, I do really want to get to this resource pod. Number one, to find out what the resource pod has as far as a bonus for us. But secondarily, because we have a quest here, the Gifts from Home quest, that should be fulfilled once we open up that second resource pod, which will give us further bonuses. So we should get 2 good things just out of going to this particular resource pod. Okay, so the first thing we got is a free solar collector. I'll show you that momentarily, but it is a good thing. And looks like the quest bonus. Okay, they've now upgraded our assignment. Go find 3 resource pods instead of 2. Alright, be that way. But we still have another movement for this guy. I want to kind of stay out of the range of that alien right now, so I'm just going to kind of appear and examine the land area up there. Here's our worker, and we decided we're going to go ahead and build a farm on that hex, just like recommended to us. And we also got our second explorer. And for him, I think we decided we were going to send him down towards this resource pod. Again, we want to try to avoid miasma. And we still have, okay, this is our solar collector that we got from the resource pod that this explorer had found. So what does the solar collector do? Again, if you just rest your mouse on it'll give you a tech tip to tell you exactly what it does. And it gives us +1 energy on any tiles we own. Any city in range also receives +20% energy. So, looking at our energy production, we're running at +6 per turn right now. So let's go ahead and launch our satellite. And we're just going to put it right over our city for now. should increase. Okay, sure enough, it increased our economic yield. We're at +6 per turn before. We're now at +12 per turn. So that's good. More money equals more stuff we can buy, or I should say more energy, which is our economic unit in the game. And you can see too that we got a free technology out of this. So that's great. Nothing wrong with choosing a free technology. And you can see our different choices here. Now I had just started working on chemistry, so there's no reason, it does tell us we've kind of got 2 turns towards chemistry. And to tell you the truth, I'm not in a rush for the chemistry. So you can see there's other free ones here that we can get that take a little bit longer to do. Those ones that have 14 turns. So at this point, I think out of those 4, because Lodi has landed close to us and we're now starting to see aliens, I'm almost thinking that either the ultrasonic fence might be good to have. What the ultrasonic fence does is it repels aliens from our city's area. Or maybe we can get a combat rover as a military unit. I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and choose a color. But again,
when Coyote learned he was the only one of his kind on the new planet,
so
his
this will
howl
give us the
echoed
chance
through
to
the rifts and off the distant hills.
Problems with the aliens, as well as the miasmic repulsor, which is an orbital unit that will also repel aliens. I'm sorry, I was wrong on that. What it does is it clears miasmic. Not that we really have to worry about in our city right now, but for instance, looking over here, all this miasma could send an orbital unit up that'll actually clear all that out if we want to. So, if that's appealing to you, then look at that miasmic repulsor. We need to figure out what to build next in our city, since we finished our explore. And again, we now have some extra choices. The ultrasonic fence we just talked about. We also have the Bavarian, which gives us 2 extra food, which is excellent. More food means our city will grow quicker. Nice to also have a miasmic repulsor. And at this point, we do have that trade depot, which again is going to allow us trade routes. I think I'm going to choose that one simply because trade routes seem to be pretty popular in this game, pretty powerful. Our military advisor is recommending that also. If you didn't see that, okay, you don't see it now, but just a moment ago there was that red chevron looking icon there saying that our military advisor was recommending us build that. So it'll take us 8 turns. But once we're done with that, we'll be able to build some units to trade to other civs and other outposts. And let's go ahead with our next turn.